Hey, greetings everybody. Happy Friday. Sorry for being a little bit late there, getting on the ball. But we are here in the Amazon. We're going to be flying these gooses down the Amazon River, or up the river, and having a good old time. I like this bird. It's a good old-fashioned one. It doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles like an autopilot and stuff like that. So we're going to have to stay on the stick the whole time. Um, if anybody feels like joining us, please do. We're always looking for more pilots. All the information you need is in the group flight information channel, and it's also in the description for this video if you're watching it now or in the future. You can get the game for free on GamePass if you'd like. That's a good way of doing it. Otherwise, the game's pretty expensive, but this is a good way for you can join us. And yeah, welcome to the show. We're going to be taking off in about a minute and a half.
There's no monkey in the gold monkey. There's a little dog with an eye patch.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think he might have ran into some monkeys, but they weren't nice. Yeah, that was an interesting show. I used to like that. I think they only made like one season of it, but it was really good. It was really high quality for a TV show.
Little tricks, tail draggers, you do back and forth, zigzag to keep things in.
Yeah, when you're taking off, this thing gets real squirrely. So, like I said, once that tail wheel lifts up, it will be hard to control. So, don't fear if you leave the runway, it's no big deal. But just try to keep her straight. And like I said, once that tail wheel lifts up, you're really close to fast enough to flying. So if you get too out of control, just pull up and you can fly out of here. Alright guys, 30 seconds, we're out of here. Alright guys, 30 seconds, we're out of here. Also a reminder that we don't have any cockpit lights. We don't have any instrument lights or a panel light or anything like that. So I would recommend setting your time to the daytime, because usually we like to get our final destination in the evening where you got some nice colors going on. But if you do that today, you won't be able to see. You know, I don't know if it has a flashlight or not. I think a flashlight automatically appears in your hands if it's really dark. There might be a button you can turn it on and off, but I've never mapped it. But yeah, you will notice that once it gets dark, you won't be able to see your gauges anymore. So just be aware of that. And gentlemen, it is 10 after the hour. Let's go ahead and get these birds up in the air. Lazerbolt is spooling up and rolling. Like I said, watch that tail wheel. It's real easy to overcompensate. Let's take a left-hand turn out of here and start flying up the river. I sure do like this old bird. This has always been one of my favorites. We had that one back in the FSX days made by OzX. I don't know if that was a guy or an entire company, but that was a pretty nice bird, and they gave it away for free. It was real nice. It flew considerably faster than this one does. I don't know if it was more modern, but this one we can maintain. As a matter of fact, you will notice if you look at your airspeed indicator, the big numbers on the outside, those are actually miles per hour, which is very unusual for an airplane. But bear in mind when I'm calling out speeds, I'm going to be calling out miles per hour instead of knots. So I'm going to try to maintain under 3,000 feet, 140 miles per hour, which is roughly 120 knots. You'll see the inside little circle that tells you. But I'm going to try to maintain 140 miles per hour at under 3,000 feet. That should give us a good view of the river and everything. You can see the pink line on our flight plan doesn't exactly point us down the river, but it will take us to our next destination if we follow the river. This thing's not too difficult to trim out, but like every airplane that doesn't have an autopilot, it does tend to drift a little bit. But it's not too bad. We should be able to get there just fine. It's wonderful for landing in the water. It makes it super easy. Like I said, there is a water rudder. I am pretty sure you have to put that in your controls all by yourself. It's not automatic. I'm going to follow this left-hand side. You can see that the river goes two ways here. I'm going to follow the left-hand path. They both end up in the same place. So the important stuff, how's everybody's week going?
That's your answer.
Perfect. Crickets.
Yeah, it does
It
feel
went
like a
by
long
so
week.
fast that when the garbage truck pulled up, I said, "You got to be kidding me! It's Friday."
It's Friday already.
Yeah, I feel the same. It goes by so fast anymore.
Well, the big thing I've been looking forward to for a long time is this is the start. Yesterday was the start of the big Star Wars convention, the celebration in Japan. So that's always good. They always announce all kinds of good stuff. Of course, I wasn't able to make it this year because it's in Japan. But yeah, anybody ever has a chance to make it to one of those Star Wars celebrations, it is really quite a spectacle. And I had a good time when it was in Chicago. But they've been having a lot of live streams and stuff. The big news that I was excited about, and I don't hear too many people talking about it, but it was the thing I heard that I was just immediately excited over, was they're having a season 2 of that Industrial Light and Magic behind the scenes show. It's like a documentary on them. And if you guys remember, gosh, it must have been 2 years ago or more, we actually watched that together. We had a series of flights where we watched that Industrial Light and Magic documentary. And I remember our buddy Robert Dunn, our good buddy Bob, haven't seen him in a long time, but our buddy Bob Dunn loved it so much that he just went out and subscribed to Disney Plus just to watch that show. And like I said, it's just a documentary about what goes on and the history of Industrial Light and Magic and how they do all the cool stuff in the movies and all that. But I was real excited about that. Actually, they already dropped a few episodes already. I watched the first one last night, and it's great. It's good to get back into it. So if you like that kind of stuff, do it. So how's everybody's goose acting? Everybody's all good to go?
Flying pretty good.
It's going.
It's easy to fly.
Yeah, it's easy to fly.
Yeah, it is. The hardest thing about this is taking off when it gets all squirrely like that. But it looks like everybody did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I missed my albatross already.
With that autopilot?
Yeah. No.
Yep. I had an Albatross for the FSX, and I really enjoyed that airplane. I can see why you like it. It's just like
cool.
a huge goose. It's not twice as big. It's like 3 times as big, and looks just like a goose. Big 4-engine version of it. That was a nice airplane. I don't seem to have it in this one, though. I don't have. I just got the basic package for now. I don't have all the fancy bells and whistles package, so I don't get that Albatross. And the unfortunate thing is, since I don't have the Albatross, I won't see anybody who does have it, and that's not good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're missing out on about 30 extra airplanes.
Yeah, I see JMB in the chat there is excited about a couple things from the Star Wars Celebration. Have the new mall animated show, that does look pretty good, and the Knights of Ren. You know, I haven't seen anything about that Knights of Ren thing so far, but I will definitely have to check that out. I see Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained had a little bit of a show about that, so I might have to check that out. Pretty excited about that mall animated show. I'm glad it's an animated show, and I've always liked Maul. They did a great job with him, and all the animated stuff I've seen. It'd be nice to see a little bit more of his backstory. Although it is another one of those situations to where it's a little, I don't know, they lose a lot of the narrative tension when it's a character that you know his entire history. You know how he dies. You know what I mean? He dies at Obi-Wan kills him on Tatooine. Spoiler alert. He survived getting cut in half. But so we already know, we already know in every episode we're watching that nothing's going to happen to him. And to me that always takes me out of it a little bit. But I'm not one of those guys that bothers them that much. But it is always in my mind to where there's something tense going on, and I immediately think, well, he's going to be just fine. He's got to make it all the way to Tatooine and then have Obi-Wan kill him by the fireside. Yep, JMB, I agree. I was a little skeptical because I felt like the Clone Wars and Rebels kind of tells the story, but yeah, I agree. Every time I'm thinking a little bit like this, like, oh, we don't need any more Maul, and then they have some Maul stuff that's just great. So all the stuff from the Rebels, that show, the Maul in there was just fantastic, and I like. They got Sam Witwer back to do his voice, and he's fantastic already. So yeah, I am looking forward to that. Yeah, GMB, I agree. This might be picking up shortly after we've seen him at the end of Solo there. Yeah, you never know. Maybe we'll even see a little bit of Kira. Probably, actually, if that's what it is, we'll for sure see some Kira in there. Everybody keeping up just fine?
Yeah, these things are certainly louder than the C-130s.
Yeah, they are. Actually, the engine sounds in this is fantastic. The way it sounds in the cockpit, you really hear those old. I think these are Pratt and Whitney engines, and you can hear them just grinding away. I love it. Yeah, I'm trying to keep this thing nice and level here. I'm trying to trim it out and keep 140 knots. I am definitely a flying with autopilot kind of guy. Just the fact that it's 2.5 hours on the stick without letting go of it is a bit much.
Did you see they put the C-130J in the marketplace now for 2024?
They did they? It's the Captain Sim version, of course.
Yeah, it is.
I might have to check that out. I sure like that C-130. And if it's in the 2020 marketplace, or I mean the 2024 sim, then maybe I won't have all the problems I'm having with my other one.
It's exactly the same as the H that we're flying. Is the only difference is it has the, I guess it's a 6-blade prop, and it's they've added some stuff like where you can drop cargo and parachutes, pallets, and
I assume the header for it in the marketplace shows it's for 2020 though, because there's most of the stuff in the marketplace says 2020 on it. There's a few things that say 2024 on them.
Yeah, it was for 2020, but I guess they must have done something to bring it over to 24 marketplace though.
I checked out the Milvez Blackbird sim thing. The cockpit they show for their alpha version is a glass cockpit.
Yeah,
it's
a very advanced glass cockpit too. I noticed. It does look pretty sharp though. I would be very interested in getting that. Did you watch a video about that, Coast?
Yeah, I looked through it. Yeah. They still have. I checked their Facebook page too, and there's not much on that.
They've been working on it for quite a while, and I am excited for them to get that out. It's about time that there's a second company making a C-130.
It's a J model, yeah.
Yeah, the video I watched was basically describing how to program the flight computer and it was pretty detailed. it was a little complex, but I love that kind of stuff. I don't seem to be able to see Coast anywhere. What happened to you, buddy?
He's
Oh, there you are.
above you.
Never mind. I found you. As soon as I said that, I looked up, and there you are.
What's your altitude?
Oh, not much. 1,100.
I'm at 23,000.
That's a bit much. I finally got this thing trimmed out nicely, so that's good.
I'm gonna have to work with this. My trim doesn't seem to work.
Your regular normal trim button doesn't work, or it's been so long since you've flown?
Well, I've got the Bravo quadrant, and that does not work.
Oh, that's the one that Travis
And
has, and he's had lots of problems with it.
And once I use it on the yoke, it changes the trim, but then when I let go, the trim goes back to 0.
Huh.
That's one of those things I'll work out.
Exactly. There's a million things like that in Flight Sim. It's a balancing act. Yeah, and that documentary about Industrial Light and Magic, in the first episode, they took us up through the original trilogy, and they were just getting into how digital technology is changing everything. So this season, it's really interesting. They're getting into the making of the prequels, and like the Phantom Menace, and how they did Jar Jar, and all that kind of stuff, and just the differences that digital technology is making to the world of film itself. And they were on the leading edge of that kind of stuff as it was, and the kind of issues that they ran into, where we used to do things this way, and now we had to start thinking of it differently. Like I said, if you like that kind of stuff like I do, it's a great watch. I'm so happy I still have 2 episodes of it to watch.
Yeah, with how powerful computers are today, and AI and all that garbage, it's hard to tell what the heck is real on YouTube nowadays.
Hey, Longhorn, greetings. Well, and just like anything else, too, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And some companies can make such flawless digital, images and stuff like that, and it's really great. Like the first Jurassic Park. That movie still holds up. That is just some amazing imagery it's phenomenal. And the combination of puppets and the digital is just phenomenal. And then you see these movies that are made 20 years later that just look terrible. They're absolutely, they just look like a cartoon. They look like a video game cutscene. And yeah, there's definitely a right way and a wrong way to do it.
Well, when you think back to the original Toy Story, that took, I don't know, like 6 months of rendering to render the whole movie, and now that kind of stuff is done in real time.
Yeah, you could do that right on your home computer now. At least to that level. Well, it sure is nice seeing all these gooses flying. And I'm not going to say geese. Geese are the birds. These are not the animate objects. These are gooses.
So does that make us a flock or no?
Nope.
Squadron.
A squadron of gooses, and not a flock of geese. You'll notice as we're following the river here, we have a custom waypoint up at the top of that bend. That's where we're going to make our first water landing. I checked it out yesterday just to see if it was an interesting looking place, and it's not particularly all that interesting, but there's a weird graphical glitch going on there that I don't know if that makes it funner or not, but it's one of those, you've probably seen it before, that some shorelines have the water actually going up onto the land, so it's like unnaturally going uphill. It's weird looking, but that'll be where we take our first stop.
We're making more noise than a marching band.
Your airplane is?
All of
Yeah, I just had to switch to headphone mode because I could barely hear anybody. It was so freaking loud.
What was loud? The
It's the engines from everybody.
oh, right.
Every time someone got close to me, I couldn't hear anybody talking.
Yep, I do like the sounds of this airplane for sure. Like especially when you're on the runway and you're spooling up, you can just hear those powerful chugging of them Pratt and Whitneys. It definitely sounds like a piston pounder. So I flew this route just a little bit in the old sim in 2020, and then popped it into 2024 to check it out. And my, there's a big difference. I often don't notice, but holy moly, it's a big difference. It looks so much better in 24.
I think it was around 1990 or 1989 at the Santa Rosa, California airport. Somebody was restoring one of these, and I got to go out for its maiden flight and watch it. I didn't get to go on board, of course. Wouldn't want to.
Right. Yeah, these things are getting pretty old by now, aren't they? I mean, this is old. Gosh, I think they used to use these back in World War II for hunting submarines. Between this and the PBY Catalina, those were their... I think the PBY Catalina used to actually carry torpedoes, so if they found a submarine, they could launch them. You know, I was looking up some interesting facts about the Amazon River to have something to talk about tonight, and found all kinds of conflicting information that I'm not sure. Sometimes when you Google stuff, you just get weird info. One of the things that came up more than once was that there are no bridges on the entire Amazon River. No bridges whatsoever. I'm like, well, we have a bridge in the game. It's even a point of interest marker. I don't know if is it a new bridge that the internet hasn't caught up to the fact that it's a new bridge. But on the internet, multiple places I've seen where there's no bridges going across the Amazon, which for one, that seems unlikely. And for two, back at that other airport, there was a bridge going across the river. I don't know what to tell you. Page turners there were not. How's it going, Brennan? Good to see you on Friday night. Happy Friday. We're cooking these gooses down the Amazon River. Should be a good time. I love this bird.
I wonder if the bottom of the river is not conducive to bridge building.
You know what? Now that you say that, you might be right, because one of the interesting facts that I heard is about a half a mile down, underground, there is a cave system that perfectly matches the river. And there is an underground Amazon River, a half mile underground, that follows the actual river. So maybe that has something to do with why they can't build like sturdy bridges across it. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. That yeah, there is a second Amazon River about a half mile under this Amazon River, and that's almost kind of spooky, isn't it?
That's strange. Yeah.
Yeah. And hey, Brennan, page turners they were not. Since you're here, we were just talking about Star Wars here a minute ago. I was telling the guys that the thing from the Star Wars celebration that made me most excited so far was that Industrial Light and Magic documentary. I love that. I loved the first season, and I started watching the second season last night, and I just love that kind of stuff. What you think? Have you seen anything that really gets you excited? Yeah, you're right about those engines. Boy, you can hear those.
I was just going
loud
to
as
say the
11
same
click.
thing.
It's not too loud for me because I have all that stuff turned way down just for the stream so you can hear us talking. But I can hear when somebody's getting close, that's for sure. You guys look pretty good back there. Yep, we're going to follow the
same
river up
problem with-
around this bend, and we're going to be reaching our first water landing here before too long.
The spool up problem with turboprops is different than that with pistons.
Yeah, actually, for me, it is no problem. I'm not having any of the problems I was having with that Hercules. Brennan from Page Turners They Were Not says Maul. Yeah, I agree. That does look pretty good. I was telling the guys earlier that I'm happy that it's an animated show. They usually do so good with the animated shows like that. That something like that, I don't think it really needs to be a live action. I think it'd be better animated. And yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more of what happened to him after he appeared in Solo. There's a big gap there between Solo and Rebels. And yeah, there's plenty of story there to tell. Oh, and he mentions, I can't believe I forgot all about that. The Starfighter movie. They're making a movie called Starfighter, which apparently about X-wing pilots and whatnot. And I am so there for that. I am 100% in. Give me some stuff about pilots and airplanes and outer space aviation, and I am so in. I would love to see a Star Wars Maverick, you know, like that Top Gun Maverick movie, something akin to that, or just something with that flavor, and I would be a happy guy. I love that. Give me some pilots. Yeah, I forgot all about that. That's right. Yeah, this Goose is really simple to fly. I like it. Well, it's a simple airplane. It was made back World War I. When things were rather simple back then. Like I said, they don't even have lights on the inside. So I'm sure in the glove compartment there's a flashlight so they can see their gauges if they have to. But it's a nice simple airplane. It doesn't have an autopilot or nothing. But this is a wonderful airframe. This airplane just wants to fly. It wants to stay in the air. When we're coming in to do a water landing, we'll see that sometimes it just doesn't want to get all the way down. It wants to stay in the air. Yeah, that Starfighter show is in production, which is good. They were kind of working on another one a little while ago, like Road Squadron or something like that. It was a X-wing pilot-based one, and that all of a sudden just kind of went south. They just decided to not do it, or change directors, or change the story. I don't think that this is the exact same thing, but I'm glad that this one's in production. They're working on it. I think that one's got Ryan Gosling in it, actually, too. I've always liked him. He's a great actor. Well, it finally stopped snowing around here, Coast. I don't know about you guys, but it's warming up around here. We've been in the 50s, so 50s is great.
At 80 down here today.
You still having them tornado troubles?
No, thank goodness. That's all past now. Phew.
Ah, good. Yeah, so you don't need none of that. That's one thing we don't get too much of here in Michigan is tornadoes. We get them occasionally, but not much. We get a lot of water spouts, though, over the lakes. They form water spouts. Pretty much as soon as it hits land, it just dissipates. But they are amazing looking.
I remember seeing those in Florida when I lived down there, but not, you know, like you said, not as bad as tornadoes. And I didn't think Tennessee had that many, but lately we have.
Unless you're in a boat.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be in a boat. We had a water spout a couple years ago that caused something I'd never seen before, and I've been living in my little hometown here of Ludington, Michigan. It's right on the west coast of Michigan, right on Lake Michigan. And I've been here for over 30 years, gosh, more than that. And I've never seen the weather phenomena called a seiche. Never heard of a seiche before, but it was the first time I ever seen that. Apparently what happened is there was a big water spout just offshore, and it sucked up a bunch of water and created some winds that were anti what they normally are. The winds were going out to sea instead of coming from the lake. And when the water spout dissipated, it created a huge wave that just kind of moved in and covered half our town. I mean, just one wave kind of came in. I mean, it wasn't like a tsunami or nothing like that, but it was just all of a sudden the water levels raised and the wind started blowing in just the right way that this big wave of water just kind of covered the town, and a half hour later everything was dry again. It just went back out to the lake, and that was it. It was like, holy moly, everybody was freaking out. They're like, what in the world is this? It's a thing. It's called a seiche, and they're not very devastating, but it was certainly shocking. I've been here a long time, and I've never seen that. But it was just the right combination. They said the winds were mostly to blame, where the wind is blowing out to the lake, and then all of a sudden the winds turn around and start blowing into the land, and it takes a bunch of water with it. And yeah, it was something.
We get a seiche on average 10 to 20 times a year.
Really? Gosh, we don't get that around here. Over in Buffalo, they get that?
Yep. The wind coming westerly over the lake pushes it right into the city.
So what do you guys got? Is that Lake Huron or Lake Superior?
Lake Erie.
Oh, Lake Erie. Okay. Well, it seems like the one called Lake Erie would be doing some weird stuff, wouldn't it?
What happens is the wind pushes the water over the lake. It starts out, way at the western end of the lake, and it builds up and eventually get it to the eastern end of the lake, and it just goes up. We're all set for it though. We've had so many of them we don't even bother with them anymore.
You don't even notice. Yeah, they're not. It wasn't very destructive. It was just weird, walking around downtown Ludington, and all of a sudden the water's up to my ankles, and I'm like, where did this come from? What is going on here? So you guys can see up ahead, there's a little bend going off to the right. We will be landing just on the other side of that, pretty much at the tip of the bend. When you're coming in for a water landing on these birds, you're going to want to do full flaps and slow way down. You shouldn't have any trouble slowing down. It gets nice and slow. You can land probably 60 knots or maybe even less. Like I said, with full flaps, it really wants to stay in the air. So you need to go pretty darn slow for it to stall. So I'm going to bring it right down to about 60 knots when it's time. And if you're having any trouble stopping in the water, because these things don't have water brakes, of course, if you're having any trouble coming to a stop, just tap that Y button. It'll send you into slew mode for a second. Just double tap it real quickly and you won't even notice, except you'll be at a dead stop. Yeah, one thing, so this doesn't even have a GPS, so I can't tell how far away we are from anything. This is definitely a dead reckoning kind of an airplane. The only way to navigate with this thing is to have a compass and a clock. So time yourself to see how far you're going to get and whatever. The good old-fashioned navigating.
Or cheat and go into third-person mode.
I just use my EFB. That's cheating enough. I mean, I guess that would be just like having a tablet. If you had a tablet with you. Well, and let's be honest, if you were flying one of these birds exactly like this one nowadays, you would have a GPS. You would install one. I mean, you wouldn't fly without a GPS. You would, you know, and you would at least have your phone where you can have a GPS on there, right?
That's kind of like what I really liked about the 2020 version, and doing those flights where the first one going through California and Yosemite and all that. It was all, you were supposed to time yourself, and there was no GPS, and there was no line to follow or anything like that. And it was interesting, especially when you had to land at airports so that you really couldn't see.
Yep.
They were so tiny.
Oh, that was part of the challenges they had, wasn't it? Yeah. What always gets me about these birds too is you can feel how powerful those engines are just by, you move your throttle just a little bit, and just the position of the engines, like you push it up and your bird will climb immediately, just because like the engines themselves kind of push on the top of the aircraft and bring the bottom of it forward, and you'll climb. And when you turn the engines down a little, same thing, the opposite happens. It'll start bringing your nose down like immediately. It's not just because of your airspeed, it's because of the torque of the engines. And I love it. I mean, if you look at it, you look at your pilot inside the cockpit and then check out the size of the engines. I mean, it's like a car. You know, if there was a seat on that engine, you could drive it around. Alrighty, I can see where our landing spot is going to be.
Longhorn's down low. He's getting ready.
He's got a couple miles yet.
Yeah, well, when I put the throttle at idle, the thing took forever to start slowing down, so I figured I better get a running start at this. I'm still at, where my altimeter here somewhere. I'm almost 2,000 feet.
Okay. It looked lower to me from when I look back, but
Oh, I was pretty low a little bit ago, but I came back up again when I realized I lost track of everybody. I didn't know where everybody was at, so I went down really low, figuring I'd let you guys go past me, and then I could just catch back up.
You know what? Instead of going to the actual marker on the map that I marked, which, like I said, that area is just kind of glitchy looking and it's weird and the water's going the wrong direction and all that. Let's pull up down here by this little inlet, and that will be where we'll make our first landing. You see the little inlet I'm talking about? I'm heading straight
the one on the left.
And give yourself a good mile or so to come to a stop, because these birds want to just keep floating. So I'm going to go ahead and go gear down, or not gear down, but flaps down. That wasn't the softest landing in the world. I was too busy looking at coast.
Great, I'm getting engine malfunction.
You didn't dip your engine in the water, did you?
No, I haven't even gotten in the water yet. But I did have my flaps at full flaps, and then I cranked up the speed a little bit to gain some speed. Yeah, it keeps giving me a message now saying engine malfunction.
Look at me, I was reaching for the brakes. Oh boy.
Yeah, it looks like we all got down relatively good. I can see that this shoreline also has the weird, you'll have water crawling up the bank. Yeah, let's just get here into the mouth of this little open space. We'll get ready to gather the gang up and we'll take off.
Funny, everybody's just like hovering above the water from my perspective.
Do you have that mesh thing going on again?
No.
Because I see everybody
like,
right in the water like they should be.
oh, it looks like everybody's about a foot above the water to me.
Yeah, actually I guess their hull is touching the water. They're not underwater like they should be. But it doesn't look strange, that's for sure. Yeah, like I said, to turn these beasts in the water, there is a water rudder available. I never did map mine to a control because it doesn't work all that good. But it works really good if you just use one engine or the other. Like here in a second I'm going to take a slight right, so I'm going to use my left engine to turn me. And
Yeah,
do
that's
that
what I
right
was
now.
doing, using one engine to speed up.
Yeah, it works real good.
Well, when I get out and walk on my wing, I can see my plane's actually in the water.
I'm going to end up hitting you, split horse. I decided to turn right and you were right there. Yeah, you guys might have a little difficulty turning around if you don't start turning sooner or later. Yeah, I guess I do see everybody about a foot off the water. The water effects on your own aircraft look great though. I like that. It's got that little wave, plus the little wingtip thingies make the water. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So where the heck is the water rudder in this plane?
You'll have to map it.
I tried mapping it earlier today, and it just didn't seem to work for me. I don't know.
Well, it's got to be in the plane here somewhere, right?
Well, just reach up to that left throttle and give it.
If you
give
find
full
it,
throttle.
I looked. I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I just tried doing the left throttle and it didn't really help me.
You'll notice
Wow,
that even with your throttle at 0, it'll still want to keep going forward. There's just enough thrust to keep it going forward.
Well, you would think this big mound of water in front of me would slow me down.
You would think. Yeah, that looks so weird. I wish they would fix that, but it's pretty much all the way up and down most coastlines and rivers.
I found it. There's a little hand crank right on or behind your seat.
Well, that's
I
for
thought
gear.
that was gear.
It says gear on mine.
Well, mine, I cranked it down and I see my rudder moving in the back on the tail.
Okay, yeah, it says landing gear, but let me see. Well, no, I put my wheels down when I did that.
Oh yeah, I guess it
Yeah,
does.
me too.
Well,
But it
worked.
actually does work as a landing gear too. Or I mean, as a water rudder, because I can actually turn now with my rudder. So that actually did work.
Did you guys notice you can open up that door in the back and actually walk back there? And if you go all the way to the very back, there's a toilet. Toilet paper and everything.
Don't encourage me.
Well, I'm certainly not going to go out and go swimming. There's probably alligators out there.
There's much worse than that. Apparently
Hippos.
Piranhas are the big thing around here. And also just some weird algae that will kind of give you a weird skin situation. Yeah.
So if you want to use your water rudder, put your gear down. It worked. Gives you really good control in the water now.
Does it really?
Yep. I can steer this thing anywhere I want now.
Oh, it brought me to a stop too. Oh, you know what? I'm in super shallow water. I think that's what it is.
You think the interior of this looks cool? You ought to see the interior of the Albatross in the back.
I'd like to get that. I need to check out the marketplace and see what they got. Is that something that you? Well, that's just in your version of the sim. You've got it, right?
Yeah, I got the premium deluxe. That's why I got it. But it's pretty decked out in the. The kitchen and everything in there.
Well, gentlemen, let's go ahead and get these birds back up in the air, and we'll continue on our sightseeing tour of the Amazon River. Hey, if you see any snakes, take a picture of it. Let Longhorn know. We've been looking for snakes for a long time. All right, Lazerbolt is, well, swimming. Speaking of swimming, it is pouring cats and dogs outside my window right now. It is really coming down. So once again, I'm going to try to maintain 140 miles per hour at under 3,000. Oh, we got lightning now and everything. Nice. I love lightning and rain as long as it doesn't knock out our power. We do have
So I heard
one.
somebody was from Tennessee. Who's from Tennessee?
Me, Wingnut.
Whereabouts? Nashville area, Murfreesboro.
No, I'm south of Nashville in Columbia, just below Franklin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I lived in Murfreesboro for many, many years.
Yeah, it's probably 45 minutes from where I'm at.
Oh, really? I drove by there. I remember the signs. On my way to Arkansas.
And speaking of tornadoes, we had one go through, I want to say Manchester, or no, not Manchester. There was a school in Murfreesboro. God, it's been so long, I can't remember the names of the road. Mansfield Elementary School. And it was about a mile from my house.
Wow, yeah, I had one come real close to us too. Just getting, I mean, I've been here in Tennessee now for a little over 10 years, and it's never been this bad. Till all of a sudden, it just started happening more and more frequently now.
Yeah, it's usually more of a Alabama thing.
Right, yeah.
Let's see, I was there from 2000 to 2009, and we had 2 or 3 tornadoes in that amount of time.
Well, I moved up here from Florida to get away from the hurricanes, and I didn't expect the tornadoes.
Yeah, that's not a good substitute, is it?
No, sir.
So yeah, Split Horse, where about you living at now? I seem to remember the last time we talked to you, and this was years ago, probably a decade ago, but you just moved someplace up in the mountains. You still there?
No, we moved about 5 years ago, I guess, back to California, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Had to go back Cali way, huh?
My mom's health and everything, she did not like Idaho, northern Idaho, too much snow, and so we sold our place for a small fortune, luckily, and moved to Northern California and Paradise, California. Remember that place where that fire devastated the town?
Yeah, are you still there?
I'm still here, yeah.
Yeah, I live in Kelseyville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Small
actually, I've
world.
got some eerie pictures of what it was. I was working in Willits that day when that fire started off in Paradise. About 9 o'clock in the morning, I got some pictures of the sky just completely brown and black, and it was like 70 miles to the east of us. I saw the sky change, get really dark. Like, yeah, there's a big fire somewhere. And come to find out, it was Paradise.
And it wasn't just a fire, it was a firestorm. They had such high winds that it was taking 3-inch branches. It was cutting them off the tree on fire and throwing them thousands of feet away. And that was catching other places on fire. And I mean, it was just a matter of minutes. The fire department was overwhelmed. I mean, there's nothing they could do.
Yeah. There's a really, really good documentary on Netflix. It's called Fire in Paradise. If you haven't seen that, I mean, you lived through it. So, but every time I watch that, it's like it almost brings tears to your eyes just watching how devastating that thing was.
Yeah, I might have
Yeah,
to catch
my
that.
next door neighbor, their daughter moved into Chico and won't even come visit them. She will never come back.
She's horrified, huh?
Well, she was stuck on the road with fire on both sides of the road and fire in the road, and melted her car, the plastic on her car. And she's lucky she didn't die. So very traumatized. I moved here almost 3 years after that fire, and it was still devastated, and they're still working on rebuilding this place.
Well, yeah, wiped out half the town.
Yeah, we only have one fast food place, and it's Taco Bell.
Hey, at least it's a good one.
Great.
Hey, I don't mind, a taco and a burrito every now and then, but that's the only place. There's so many taco, I call them taco trucks, but they're just food trucks.
Yep.
Of, in the parking lots of places where they couldn't afford to rebuild.
Yeah, I moved here. Well, actually, when we decided we were going to move out here, my wife and I flew into San Francisco and drove out of San Francisco. Actually, flew into Oakland and drove up and landed the day the Tubbs fire went through and wiped out the Santa Rosa.
Oh God, I lived in Santa Rosa for what was it, from '84 to '90.
Wow. I was just there today. Had to do a
And
job.
I am not starting these fires. I just want to say. So
They're just following you.
Well, like I say, we landed the day that fire went through there, drove through Santa Rosa about 9 o'clock that night. And it was just cold and windy. We didn't know there was a fire going on, and then found out the next morning. And then we stayed for about a week. And they said, "Oh, don't worry about it. It'll never happen again. That's just a once in a lifetime thing." So my wife and I decided to go ahead and move here, and then I moved here in like March 2018, and then that summer we had the Ranch Mendocino Complex fire go through that burned like 500,000 acres, and we got evacuated for a week and ended up staying in Williams for a week.
my goodness, I'm I hate seeing fires on the news, and it's not that I don't want to see it. I'm just thinking, God, all these crazy people are watching this, and they're going to go out and set more fires.
Well, that was happening too.
Yeah, it was.
My wife and I were shopping in Ukiah like probably 3-4 years ago, and I think we were at Costco, and then all of a sudden I have the where that weather, I forget what it's called now, but there's like an app that warns you if there's a fire in the area, and then my phone just everybody's phone in the store started going nuts because there was a fire over by Lake Mendocino, and come to find out a guy actually had set that. It burned like 7 or 8 houses down, and he saw all the fires and decided he would light one for himself.
What's wrong with
Now
people?
we were taking care of my uncle. He died at the age of 103, and
Wow.
at age 98 we took over his care, and he was over by Oakland. He lived in a really tall apartment complex right by the Bay Bridge entrance.
Okay.
Or Berkeley, that's where he lived. And we were going there, and it was at night, and there was a I don't know, Caltrans, I guess, are the people that take care of the highways and stuff.
Yeah, that's Caltrans.
Well, there was an accident up ahead, and this guy's in a truck, and he's lighting little pieces of flares, and he's dropping them from the back of the truck as the truck's driving. These things
Wow.
are bouncing all over the place. I don't know how many fires he started because they were bouncing off the road into the dry grass. I'm like, you freaking idiot! Stop!
World's full of them.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something with this airplane when we land because I'm like slowly cruising. I can only get up to 110 knots now, 110 miles
Really?
per hour. Yeah, it's.
That must be that engine trouble it was telling you about, eh?
Yep. Yeah, my RPMs have dropped way off, and my engines got real quiet.
That's
I
not
think they're
good.
both. Let me see. I think they're both still turning. Oh no, actually. Oh, they're different RPMs. I've got. If I can read that thing correctly.
I was going to
I don't
ask
know,
if
my-
that could have been related to your flaps, but RPMs.
I'm
wouldn't
sure.
be.
I'm sure it was because I had the flaps fully deployed, and then I gave it full throttle to get back up to speed, and that's when it happened. That's when they popped up the message the first time. They had
Huh.
engine trouble.
It was some kind of engine overheat or something, huh? Where you just
Okay,
stressed them
so-
too much.
Okay, so I've actually lost my left engine. So
Have
I'm
you
at
tried
zero.
restarting it?
Well, every 2 seconds I get a message on my screen that says aircraft system malfunction, engine failure.
Oh no.
You didn't take off with the landing gear still down in the water, did you?
No, it happened before I ever landed.
Oh, okay.
It was because I had the flaps fully deployed and gave it throttle, and apparently this plane doesn't like that. Yeah, I've definitely lost my left engine.
Yeah. You might have turn
I'll
your
see if I can-
stress off in your settings.
Yeah, I can hear the left engine trying to start, but it won't start. It's just.
Well, crawl out on the wing, open up the oil. No, I'm just kidding.
Might need to change your piston or two.
Send your co-pilot out there.
Well, it modeled the RPM gauge pretty good because while it was trying to crank that engine over, my RPMs went up to about 500 RPM. But then when it finally gave up trying to start, it dropped back down to 0 again.
Yeah, this is a great airplane. They did a good job on it. It's rather simple, but everything works like it's supposed to. It's pretty good.
Is that marker up there where we're landing, or is that just
We
a
are
waypoint?
not landing there, but we're going to be checking it out pretty good. That is our only point of interest. The point of interest marker known as the Bumbodromo. Not sure exactly what that is or what it means, but we're going to check it out. Hopefully it's an interesting looking building. We could touch down there real quickly if you'd like.
Yeah, since it's a waypoint in the flight plan, I might just exit out and come back in with new engines.
Right, it'd be easy enough to get back to that same spot.
I don't know for sure, but I mean, I used to watch all those documentaries and stuff, and something about that, like 90% of the population lives along the shore of this river.
Yeah, and that's still pretty few and far between. There's very few villages on the river, but like you said, there's most of the population around here. At least the tribes that we know of. The one thing I read too is that it is very common that the people who live on the Amazon River do not like people with beards. They say mainly it's because they don't have much body hair themselves, but when they see somebody with a beard, they don't treat you very good. They treat you like you're the devil, man. They do not like people with a beard.
So no pointy goatees. Gotcha.
Right?
Not unless you're carrying a spear or something to defend
Bear or
yourself
spear?
with. Spear. Something to defend yourself with. Make you look like a native.
Yeah, I've mentioned it before too that Brazil, in particular Brazil, has a lot of UFO lore going on around here. A lot of abductions and just over the years many incidents of UFO sightings and things like that. Well, the people who live in the Amazon and along the Amazon River, their version of the UFOs are because they also have seen strange things and have had people abducted and blah blah blah, and they don't call them UFOs, they just say it's the white man. The white man is messing with us and abducting our people. So it's like, okay, well,
The
the
little
white
gray
bearded
guys with
man-
beards. They're probably jazz musicians.
Jazz musicians, indeed. You can't trust those guys. Yeah, holding a nice formation back there, coast, looking good. Not sure exactly how far away we are from the Bumbodromo, but it's not far. I'm assuming that there's going to be an actual city there, which is unusual because there's not a whole lot of cities right on the shore here.
Well, so far in 2024, the graphics look okay. I have everything maxed out.
This
Do
one of
you
your
still
first
have
times?
to go do
What-
some crazy thing to get the frames per second to show?
This one of your first times playing it?
2024, yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive. I really enjoy this program a lot. Of course, you get people complaining about it all the time, but those people probably complain about everything. You know, if you ask me, this game is an absolute masterpiece. And something that's this complex is always going to have its minor issues, but people will take one little minor issue and act like it's a game breaker, and the game doesn't even work because I can't flip that one switch. It's unplayable garbage. It's like, man, I don't know what the hell you people want, but this game is amazing.
Of course, they've never played Microsoft Flight.
Yeah, or FSX. Remember FSX? Jeez, oh Pete. We played that game for like 12 years, and they released one patch, and that was it. One service update, just because they had to, and we just had to deal with what we dealt with, you know. And it was still amazing for back then.
Yeah, I don't know if I was in the group before Microsoft Flight, but once Flight went away, we all went to FSX. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the day I learned that FSX even had a multiplayer component. I'd been playing that game for 5 years and never realized that you could play multiplayer. It had like in the menu it said something about multiplayer, and I assumed that that was just like cockpit sharing, like you could fly an airplane with somebody else kind of a deal. But no, it was full on multiplayer, 100 players at a time, and we used to have a heck of a good time doing that.
What was that? What was that kid that that would always bug us in Microsoft Flight? And so we would bug our. Remember how you could bug your plane, and then your tag would stay on the runway, but you'd be in your plane up in the air or something like that.
Must be talking about Alec.
Ah, that's him. Is he
Remember
still
Alec?
around?
Yeah. He was a good kid. Boy, I tell you what, we flew with him for so long. I remember all of a sudden one day he hopped into Discord, or back then it was TeamSpeak. He'd hop in and his voice changed, and none of us recognized him. It's like,
really
holy
low.
moly, our little boy grew up. Jeez, oh Pete says, I mean, he was like a full-grown adult all of a sudden. Yeah,
I
remember
feel like we
his-
had a lot to do with his growing up.
Yeah, we might have. I'm sure we formed him. He flew with us.
A whole
know.
bunch of dads here.
Yeah, he flew with us week after week for years. Remember, I don't know if it was the same guy, but there was a guy that flew with us too, a kid called Little Cube.
He's a friend of Bob's. Bob Dunn's.
Yeah, the last I heard from both of those guys, they went off to college. I think Little Cube actually went to pilot school.
I think he became a pilot.
Yeah, he became a pilot. He became a pilot and then didn't want to hang out with us anymore, that's for sure.
So who's
somebody
who
called
can't
Bugs.
wait for Grand Theft Auto 6?
I can't wait for Grand Theft Auto 6. I love it.
I do. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, love it. You guys seeing, this must be an actual thing, but see these big squares down here? You know what? Big rectangles?
Yes,
I
I
see.
do.
Those look like they're actually things, right? Is there some kind of, is that like maybe a commercial fishing spot or something? Or?
I'm going to say that that was on the map as you know, something, and it got carried.
And it didn't
got
know what to do
carried
with it.
to do it.
The photogrammetry didn't know what to do with it. I'm a little
Exactly.
surprised that I don't see the point of interest marker for the Dromo just yet. 'Cause we're getting somewhat close. See over here on the right hand side, you can see there's a pretty big city over there.
Well, this plane definitely needs both engines to take off the water. So my Goose became a boat. I'm just cruising along the water at about 60 knots.
You know what? There's an airport over here too. You could just spawn back in over there. It's Sierra Whiskey Papa India.
Okay, yeah, this is... No.
I must have my point of interest markers turned off or something, because the Bumbo Dromo is like right here, and I don't see it yet.
Yeah, I see it. It's right in
Right in
front of
front
us.
of me. Yeah, I see it.
I must have my point of interest markers turned off. I have it mapped to one of my buttons.
11 o'clock. I'll fly right over the top of it.
Right on. Yeah, let's do a circuit around here and check it out. Like I said, Split Horse, if you wanted to just spawn back in at Longhorn, Sierra Whiskey Papa India. There's a airport right here in town.
Let's see if this worked. See if I got both engines turning this time. Oh crap, I didn't change my time. Oh, well, it'll let me. At least I can go in and do that. I notice it's going to put me in the dark now.
What's it supposed to be, by the way, this point of interest?
I don't know. It's just called the Bumbo Dromo. Don't know what kind of a building that would even be.
I'm 2 miles from it. Almost heading straight for it.
Alright, let's go with about... Yeah, that's good enough.
I don't know if that's a sports complex or maybe a playhouse.
I'll tell you in a minute.
It looks kind of colorful, doesn't it?
That looks like a stadium.
Yeah, I
Yep,
think you're right.
Stadium.
Oh yeah, oh it is, definitely. A big, nice stadium too.
Football?
I bet you it's soccer
Depends
for
on what you
sure.
mean by
I
football.
mean soccer. Football.
Yeah, football. I can't see any kind of a field on the inside. It looks kind of like concrete on the inside. They could probably play just about whatever they wanted there. Well, neat. Longhorn, I see you spawned in over there at the airport. Good beans.
And I got both my engines back.
I am going to go ahead and do another circuit around the Bumbo Dromo, and that'll give you a chance to catch up to us.
I don't know where you're at, so I don't see you. Are you
Head
to my
south.
right or my left?
Look for the river.
Okay, I see the river.
Yep.
And oh, okay, I see your names now. All right, so no more
Yep,
flaps
we're
at full
not-
throttle.
Yeah, don't do that anymore. We're not too far from you. I could see the
I don't know
runway
where
that
it
you
is.
took off from.
Yeah, the last 3 flights, I've managed to break all 3 airplanes.
Yeah, that's why I
You
turned
may
down
need
my
to go in
realism
there.
settings when we're doing
We
a
got
group
you for
flight.
consistency, by the way. That's the reason you're in the flights.
Like I turn off the crash damage, but I always overlook the
There's
air
also a
crash
stress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
engine
that's
stress.
the one I overlook.
Yeah, I had a problem with my twin Baron one time, and I said, nope, I'm not doing that anymore, especially when we're doing a group flight. I just don't, I have enough problems as it is. I don't need any random engine stress.
Lumbodromo.
The Bumbo Dromo, yeah, it's a pretty complex looking complex, that's for sure. Alrighty, neato. I don't see any cars driving around this city at all.
Ours were banned in Brazil. I see a bunch parked from the photogrammetry.
Yeah, the
But you're
Bumbo
right.
Dromo has a big parking lot full of cars.
Yeah, I don't see
I
any
never
of them
saw
there.
it.
I'm going to go straight over the top of it.
So that's the. Wow, that is a pretty elaborate complex.
It is, it's nice looking.
Weird. For some reason, I don't see it.
You might not have grabbed the world update for that.
Oh, that could be.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you
Which
got to
they got a
download that separate.
weird way to update. Like they've got the update that it pushes out, the mandatory update that you must do, but then to take advantage of the actual update, you need to go into the marketplace and look for the free World Brazil update, and then download that as well. I don't know why they just don't make
Gotcha.
it one big package.
I see it. It's just flat. There's no.
Right.
Okay.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
the
to
world.
see.
Yeah, and when you download the world update, you'll actually see it in 3D.
Yeah, it often causes mesh issues too. We've had it like we'll be at an airport where everybody else seems to be floating in midair, but it's only because you don't have the world update that corrects the mesh, you know. So, all right,
Well, these
guys,
houses
let's continue down the Amazon River, and we will have another water landing. This is all new to me. I didn't make it this far when I was testing out the flight.
Yeah, these houses are like you can walk from rooftop to rooftop.
So, Laser, I was looking at your stream on YouTube and your map that you got pulled up, your EFB. Did you know you could change that to a satellite image instead of just a blue and white?
Oh yeah, where it has all the elevation data and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Well, they've got that, and I think they got 3 settings: the plane, like you've got it, and satellite, and the elevation and everything.
Some more of those squares or rectangles.
Yeah, we've got that time descent marker. Just ignore that. It always adds those in the flight plan. I wish it didn't. If this was a flight where I was worried about distances, I would get rid of that because that always screws me up. But since I can't tell the distance in this airplane anyway because there's no GPS, I just figured, what the hell.
What's that island out in Indonesia where it's illegal for anybody to go to because the tribes, they don't want anybody going there?
North Sentinel Island. Very interesting. Yes, off the coast
And
of
I think
India.
it was after that Japanese earthquake that happened and the tsunami went through there. Supposedly they sent a helicopter out there and they started shooting it with arrows.
Yep. Yeah, those people don't want to be messed with, and that's why it's illegal to go there. Not only is it illegal to go there, it's hard to get there too. I mean, it's surrounded by a coral reef that's hard to get any kind of a boat, even a small boat, in and out of there. And the people that live there have been left undisturbed for 30,000 years, and they want to be left alone. So yeah, why not? Let's leave them alone.
Yeah, they just made the news a couple weeks ago. There was another news article about a guy that just went there recently and had posted about it or something, and they ended up arresting him because of it. Whatever country that owns that chain of islands, whatever, arrested him because you're not allowed to go there.
Yeah, I think it's India that owns it. And yeah, they're pretty serious about it. Well, you know, most people that go there get killed anyway. So just don't. Just leave those people alone. Let them do what they're doing. And, you know, and they said that people who've actually visited the island and came back to tell about it said that they know all of the languages in the nearby area, and these people speak something completely different. It's more like something from Africa, which is like these people like left Africa way back when we all left Africa, and they ended up on Sentinel Island, and the land bridge that got them there flooded, so there's no longer a land, it's just an island now, and so they're stuck on that island, and they've been stuck there for 30,000 years, and they're getting along just fine all by themselves. Yep,
Yeah,
North Sentinel Island.
Yeah, I think when that hurricane or whatever, tsunami, whatever it was that went through there years ago, I think the humanitarian efforts had dropped like care packages for them, but they wouldn't land or anything, and that's probably when they were shooting their bow and arrow at them. But it's like, we're trying to save your guys' lives. We don't really want you guys to go extinct.
Yeah, well, they say too that they dropped off just like as presents. They gave the people a bunch of like cast iron cooking ware and pots and pans and some pigs and goats and stuff like that. And they killed the pigs and goats and buried everything in the sand right there on the shore. Just buried all of it. Said, screw you guys. Which I suppose, you know, maybe in their past, every time they've had somebody visit, the tribe gets real sick, you know? So they're like, yeah, well, screw that. We don't want people visiting. We don't want your pigs.
Yeah, that's actually why they want to keep them isolated, because they're completely exposed to any of the viruses that are around the world, because they've never been exposed to it. So that they could wipe out the entire tribe if someone went over there and infected them.
It just boggles my mind, you know, in this day and age that things like that still exist.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
It's cool and spooky at the same time. I love it. Well, they say that there's tribes, undiscovered tribes here in the Amazon too. That it's just such a thick, dense place that there's some places that people have never been. Modern people have never been. And the same thing with Papua New Guinea. There are entire chunks of Papua New Guinea that's not mapped at all. We haven't even been able to map it. We've got satellite images, but that's it. And that's where they say if you get lost in the woods, they're probably going to hunt your head. There's a lot of headhunters and cannibals around Papua New Guinea, and they very clearly want to be left alone. All right, this next water landing is going to be, that's our penultimate stop. We're going to take a little bit of a break, grab yourself a cocktail or use the restroom or do what you need to do. But when we get down, we're going to take about 10 minutes. Actually, this next stop should be right on the shore of another little city, so we should at least have a city to look at while we're parked in the water. There's also an airport here if you really needed to. We could stop at Sierra John Oscar Hotel. It's right on the shore. Not sure how big it is, but these birds can land pretty small runways. But we're going to be doing a water runway here, so count on that. If you look at the map, you can see that there's a little bit of a water runway, or a waterway. There's a peninsula, and we're going to be landing in the water just to the right of that peninsula. Yeah, I just like the way the map looks better now that I switched it over. I'm not using the satellite, I'm using the other one. There's 3 different ones you can pick. But it's colorful now instead of just bland.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you knew about it. That's why I mentioned it. But I like the satellite one.
Is this red and white version of the Goose, is that the only livery available? They got other ones. I didn't even look.
Yeah, it was the only one that I saw. I tried to see if I could change it, and it wouldn't.
It's a nice looking bird. I like it. But like I said, I didn't even look. I was real tempted to check out that water bomber, but that thing goes like 190 knots, and that's a little fast for these. But I do like that plane. I flew it a couple times in 2020, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's fun.
I never tried it, but Wingnut, you said you can actually go down and scoop up water and then fly it somewhere and drop the water over or fire them. Yeah.
Yep, you sure can.
That's pretty cool that they modeled that.
Well, if you're interested in the J model, the C-130, you'd be able to drop a load out of the back and shoot flares and have smoke trail behind your engines.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we used to have a few airplanes in FSX that allowed you to do similar stuff, but in multiplayer, it always caused big problems. Like, we would be able to send paratroopers out in the back of our airplane. We had that Antonov, remember that coast? That Antonov, you could have paratroopers jump out. And so, like, one person would have 100 paratroopers jump out, and the next person would have 100, and the next person would have 100. And next thing you know, there's thousands of objects, and it just crashes the game. I would imagine they have taken that into account, and that won't happen in this modern version of the sim. I believe if you look up and around the bend, I don't know, about 5-6 miles away, you can see our little that little strip of water we're going to be landing in. It's just to the right of that peninsula. You'll see it much better when we get closer, but that's going to be our little stop. And then our final destination for the evening is going to be an actual runway. So don't forget your gear.
I won't say any names.
And don't put them out when you're going too fast, that's for sure. You guys remember, gosh, it must have been 10 years ago, we used to fly the Icon A5 down the Amazon. I created some special scenery for the area, and we used to fly the Icon, and then we would land in the water and fold the wings up, and then the Icon's just like a boat, because it's got no lift, because the wings are put away, and you can just kind of skim along the surface like a boat. It was really fast and fun. We haven't done that in a while. We used to do it annually.
Wasn't there a special airplane we used to have that was to fly like crazy on the water or in the air?
That was, I think that was the Icon A5. They have the Icon A5 in the new sim, but the wings don't fold up like they used to. So it'll just take off instead of acting like a boat. And the one that we had was a super spruced up one. Remember, that was the one that Storm worked on. And that thing was... It was a beast. It was way unrealistic in its capabilities, but it was a lot of fun. Now it's realistic. It's really super slow.
We used to have motorboat races on the rivers.
Hey, remember that? It looked like Stars and Stripes.
Whatever happened to Storm?
Hey, he's still living in Denver up there, doing his thing. Haven't actually, I've been kind of keeping in contact with him via email, and yeah, he's doing his own thing for sure.
What about Wingman? Heard from him?
Wingman Tingley. Haven't talked to him in a long time. Haven't talked to him since FSX days. I see him in Discord all the time, but he doesn't join us. I'm not even sure if he flies in the flight sim anymore. Yep, Hog Dog, same thing. Hog Dog pops in and he flies DCS once in a while, but
there's a few DCS folks that just stay in DCS.
Yep.
I noticed that that the website is just no activity at all.
No, the website's pretty dead. And it's a shame too, because I always thought we had the best name. I mean, msflights.net. That's a desirable name right there to have. You know, MS Flights. That says it all. You know. As a matter of fact, back in the day, Kalo, the owner of the website there, Kalo had people trying to buy it off him. Not anymore.
Let's see, who else? Warhawk.
Yeah, Warhawk.
I see him on...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Warhawk, we haven't seen Warhawk since we switched over to Discord. I don't know if you remember that whole situation, but it was weird. It was really weird. He was 100% for... we used to use TeamSpeak to chit-chat back and forth.
That's right.
Remember that? And then Discord came out, and this was when Discord first came out, and we were considering moving over to Discord and away from TeamSpeak, and he had a fit. He did not want to leave TeamSpeak. He just thought it was the worst idea ever, and Discord is just, it's going to go away, and it's not a thing. And we used to have so much trouble with TeamSpeak, and especially with trolls and stuff like that. People would just hop in and just make weird noises, and just, TeamSpeak just has so many issues. So we moved over to Discord, and as soon as we moved over to Discord, Warhawk just kind of got butthurt and said, I'm not coming around anymore. It's like, well,
Yeah,
I
TeamSpeak,
hope
you
he
didn't have to
realizes now
register.
that, here we are years later, and Discord is a huge thing, and nobody uses TeamSpeak anymore because it's dumb. I just hope he realizes that, guess what, buddy? We were right about that one.
Prima donnas.
Well, he was always a little bit. He would push back against stuff. You know what I'm saying? He would be the guy.
Yeah.
Whenever we had something to discuss as a community, he would always be the guy pushing back. And, we all liked the guy, and we all flew around with him for years. But if there was ever any drama, it was him. Okay, you see this waterway over here? Let's go ahead and get in that. And when we reach the opening at the end of it all, that's where we're going to land. We're going to be right near that city. You see what I'm talking about? This little waterway? It's not really a little waterway, it's pretty big. Would this be considered a lake or something? Or is it just part of the river because this strip of land that goes for miles is technically a peninsula?
I talked to Travis the other day.
Yeah, Travis still comes around once in a while. Yeah, he's a good kid. I like him. He's been doing a lot of traveling lately, that guy.
Yeah, he was telling me about it.
You landing on the lake? Is that what you're going to do?
We are landing in the lake. By looking at the map, it looks like there should be an outlet leading right back into the river. But let's go around this little bend over here, and we'll see. We should be able to land somewhere near a city of some kind.
That's funny. Wingnut shows up as an albatross still.
No, wingnut? Yeah. Well, I see him as a goose, but his name tag says albatross.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another weirdness. Well, it doesn't look like this goes all the way through, but my plan is I'm going to go past that there's like a little bit of a chunk of land right there. Just beyond that, I am going to set her down and pull up to the right-hand shore. You'll see there's a ship called the S. Joao. So we're going to land over there near that ship and see what's going on. Just off to our left over here, that looks suspiciously like an airport, doesn't it? Or at least it looks like a big dirt strip. Oh yeah, now that I zoom the map in, I can see that little strip of land is clearly there. But you can see what I'm talking about. As soon as we get past that little strip, we're going to land somewhere near the S. Joao.
Gotcha.
It is a tug. Alrighty, remember you can land these birds as slowly as about 60 miles per hour. So that's not too bad.
With flaps, you mean?
With full flaps. And that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50 knots. But like I said, these birds, they've got the big dial written out in miles per hour, so I'm just going to call it that. So about 60 miles an hour is good enough. I wouldn't go too much slower than that, though. That's right on the edge. Well, it doesn't look like we have any of those weird water glitches going on to where the water is going up on the shore, defying gravity.
Yeah, it's a good thing we're landing. My dog is screaming at me to let him outside.
Yeah, you should probably listen to him, buddy. Yeah, like I said, we'll get down here, and probably the best thing to do is either shut your engines off, or pull up to the shore, or just hit the Y button and put yourself into slew mode. Otherwise, just the torque from your engines will be enough to keep you moving, and you'll get back from a 10-minute break and you'll be somewhere you don't want to be. I think I'm just going to shut my engines off. This tug over here, this S-Jow, I think it's actually up on the shore. I'm going to pull over here next to it and see what I can see. No, it's not on the shore, but it's pointing towards the land.
Sorry if I go floating through somebody, but I gotta go let him out.
No problem, buddy. This really does look nice when the water's not all screwed up like it was before. It's beautiful here. What would be nice on this aircraft is if they had an anchor button, because I'm sure any actual goose in real life has an anchor of some kind.
I'm sure it does.
So do you guys all see that little tug sitting here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. I like it when something's broadcast globally instead of just for a single person. Yeah, nice looking little tug. It's just sitting there doing nothing.
Ghost, you're scratching my airplane.
Bob, did you lose your microphone? You sound real quiet all of a sudden.
Might have been further away from me.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Anyway, guys, I'll be right back. We're going to take off here in maybe 5-6 minutes.
Okay.
Say one thing I notice about this is different than it was in 2020. Remember back in 2020 when you would shut your engines off and it would still make that ticking noise? It's like there was something in the background that you just couldn't shut off. Maybe it was an oil pump or something, but it would make this weird clicking noise when your engines were shut off. It does not do that anymore.
I
Mine is.
beg to differ. Mine's doing it.
Is it?
Yeah.
I was just going to ask about that, and you brought it up. But I hear this ticking. I don't know. Almost sounds like. Well, I don't know what it is.
I only hear it in third person view.
Yeah, maybe I just don't have it turned up loud enough to hear, but I don't know. I don't hear nothing.
I don't hear it in the cockpit, only in third
Right.
person.
If you're outside your plane, the outside view, you hear it really loud.
Huh, I do not.
And I'm hearing frogs.
It's nice to have some ambient noise, huh? I just cheated a little bit and moved my airplane with a slew. This would be a little easier to get out of here. It does look so nice though, the water and all the trees on shore. It looks really nice. It looks really nice when you don't have that water glitch. The waterfall going up the hill or something. It's beautiful. I wonder what would happen if you tried to get out of your airplane here. Well, alright guys, it has been about 10 minutes or so. I'm going to go ahead and fire my engines up and let's get prepared to take off out of here. We got one more stop. Alright, we'll be taking off in 30 seconds, guys. Anyone needs more time, just say the word. I'm already, now that I started my engines, I'm already moving. Yeah, the one thing a Goose would always have is it would always have an anchor and it would always have a paddle. Somewhere inside the Goose you would have a paddle that you could, you know, at least turn your aircraft a little bit if you had to. Well, alright gentlemen, let's go ahead and get these birds out of here. Make sure you give yourself plenty of flaps and get yourself nice and up to speed before you pull it back. It's a little harder to take off out of water, and we'll get back on course. Lazerbolt is spooling up and rolling. Does have a nice satisfying water spray behind it, doesn't it?
I think Coast and Longhorn are still back there.
Yeah, I just got back in my plane.
How do you start
I
this
got the
sucker?
doggy out. Now this,
Ah.
look at that ship, the Cittadad de Orxinema, the pleasure craft. That is, it's up on shore. Look at that. I don't know if you guys see it the same way I do, but now it just
Coast, there's
disappeared.
ignition switches on the overhead panel. It says ignition 1 and 2, and then there are starter switches, and there are buttons just to the left of that.
Or just hit Control E.
Cheater!
There's no cheating in this game.
I know. I just I have the Bravo Alpha. I just turned my switch to start.
Did that work?
Yep.
That's good beans. Because I know to actually start it from cold and dark, you have to do like behind your seat. There's a fuel lever, like a fuel pump. You have to manually pump the fuel into the system to prime it, and then you know, turn on your magnetos and all that kind of stuff. It's a neat process. It's super simple though. Like I said, there's not much to this. It's about like starting a lawnmower.
There was a strip of land across there.
I noticed. I was going to warn you guys.
Mention that.
Yeah, I was going to mention it, and then I thought, nah, they'll never hit that thing.
Yeah, surely they'll see that, right?
Surely. I didn't see it until I was already past it, though, to be honest. I just
Yeah, me
lifted
too.
up, and I was looking behind me, and I'm like, oh, look at that. There's a little strip of land there. You don't want to hit that.
Well, I still had my gear down, so it wouldn't pick up speed. So I was just cruising along the water really slow. So I stopped and put my gear back up, and then I wanted to take off. So I was a lot further along than what I should have been, and I almost hit that land strip.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I've already broke my plane once. I don't need to break it again.
Alrighty, I'm going to cut the corner here and just kind of follow the river. Our next destination is Sierra Bravo Sierra November. Not too awful far, and that will be an actual concrete runway. So when we get to, it's called Santarem, Sierra Bravo Sierra November. We have a 7,800 foot strip of asphalt to land on, an elevation of 197 feet, so that'll be a piece of cake. Count on runway 10 when we get there, gentlemen. Runway 10 when we get to Santarem. To slow down here a little bit. I got myself going a little too fast. Yeah, this bird takes a lot of trim to trim it out.
Coach, did you get your engines going?
Negative.
Should try that Control E.
Make sure your batteries are on and all that.
I think Control E will take care of all that. So, did you guys know that the Amazon River is the second longest river in the world? What's the first longest?
Nile.
The Nile.
You guys are too clever for that. That was easy. I mean, if you consider the underground river around here, maybe it is the longest.
Need to get a submarine and go through it.
Just the whole idea of a subterranean, a half-mile down, there's a river just like this one underneath the Nile. It's just creepy to me.
Makes you wonder what happened that covered up the original river like that.
Right. Well, it was probably, I'm guessing, it was like a lava tube or something, and then the lava drained out of it and filled up with water, and there you go. Now it's just this long tunnel. But it's strange that the underground river follows the above ground river almost perfectly. Very bizarre.
Well, I'm guessing that the river was there before the lava, and so the lava just went down, you know, the river, and then solidified, drained out just like lava tubes do, and then, you know, sediment and all that covered them up. And
Yeah, who knows? They also say that millions of years ago, the Amazon River flowed the other direction. It flows whatever direction it does now, but millions of years ago, it flowed the opposite direction, which is weird.
Oh.
I wonder if it's related. Well, yeah, okay, I did read I don't have the article in front of me, but I do remember them saying something about it had something to do with the Andes Mountains. Right now, the Amazon River flows out of the Andes Mountains and to the ocean. But back then, you know, tens of millions of years ago, the Andes Mountains weren't quite as formed as they are now. And once they pushed up out of the earth, changed the direction of the river.
Coach, if you can't get it to start for you, maybe just exit out of it and come back in. You can spawn even in the air over water.
It's true, you could spawn right over the river. Just look for us on the map and spawn right above us. Yeah, I just cheated. I shut my engines down the cheaty way, and I started them back up the cheaty way. Like I said, there is no cheating in this. Just having fun. And sitting there with a cold, dark aircraft is not fun. I gotta say, I'm looking forward to after the flight tonight. I'm gonna watch another episode of that Industrial Light and Magic documentary. That's really, really up my alley. I love that kind of behind-the-scenes stuff.
I was watching
That's
one
on the
today.
Disney Plus channel.
It is on Disney Plus, and yeah, the first season was absolutely amazing. One of the best documentary behind-the-scenes thing I've ever seen. It's very good. Now, these people that are in the documentary, these are all heroes of mine from when I was a kid. I mean, I remember I had all kinds of Star Wars books, you know, like the making of and the art of, and I had blueprints, and all these people's names I'm very familiar with. You know, I mean, right down to Phil Tippett, doing all the stop motion animation, and, you know, Joe Johnston, and just, I mean, the list goes on. It's a mile long. But my entire life, these people have been heroes of mine. That's why when they had that documentary about Industrial Light and Magic, it was really something I was into. And yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when Star Wars first came out, it was so revolutionary. There was nothing like it before.
Yeah.
And that was just George Lucas and his team coming up with different ways of filming something, and, you know, mashing up old ways and new ways.
And inventing it on the fly, you know what I'm saying? When they were planning it out, they had no idea how they were going to do half of it. Just, it didn't exist, how to do that. And they made it up as they went. And just spectacular results. And, you know, people hear all the time now, you know, it's just a cliche that Star Wars changed the world, man. Star Wars absolutely changed everything. And people don't understand. People that weren't around back then, they're like, yeah, this all, we've heard that before, whatever. They don't really get what that means. But I'm old enough to where I was 10 years old in 1977, so I vividly remember the world before Star Wars. And literally, Star Wars changed the world in ways that it's hard to even put into words. But it changed everything. You know, it changed.
Did you live for the Sunday paper?
Did I what now?
Live for the Sunday paper to open up the full page spread,
the comic strip?
Ad for Star.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
The ad for the cinemas.
Oh, right. I used to
full-page
love that.
Star Wars ads for weeks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, especially our little hometown here. We've only got one theater. And, man, it's like when Empire Strikes Back finally got here, it played for months. And I went every weekend and just seen it over and over and over. Loved it. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the comic strip that there used to be. I think a lot of people are unaware of the fact that there used to be a daily Star Wars comic strip. A little black and white comic strip in the newspaper. And that's really gone by the wayside. I'm sure none of that's canon. But I loved it when I was a kid. I cut them all out. I still have them here somewhere. I cut them all out.
You said you were 10? I was 12.
Yeah, I was 10 in 1977. And yeah, so you definitely remember how Star Wars just changed everything. It just all of a sudden things were just different from that day. You know,
Nothing had been
it was a
hyped
different world
like Star Wars was until then.
Yeah, never seen anything like it. Never seen
opening
the hype.
Day was sold out, and the line to get in the theater was wrapped around the building twice, and I mean, it was just great.
And that was unheard of. You know, nobody had ever seen anything like that except maybe Jaws, to a very small degree. They say that Jaws was the first actual blockbuster, but then Star Wars came out, and it was just nationwide, worldwide. Everybody knew what the hell you were talking about all of a sudden. You know, you talk about Star Wars, everybody knows Star Wars, and it really did It made a huge important difference in my life. I mean, Star Wars has literally been a part of my daily life since 1977. It has been. It's been in my life every day since 1977. I can't even say that about my friends and family. You know what I mean? But Star Wars has always been a part of my life every day. I love it.
You still play Elite Dangerous?
I do, not as much as I used to, but I still consider it one of my favorite games, even though it's probably been close to a year since I played it. I see that they're doing they've been actually working on it recently in the last year or so, adding stuff to it and continuing to produce on it, so that's good news. It's a great game.
Yeah, I keep updating it. I just haven't gone back in.
Yeah, yeah, it's weird for me too. It's like that is on my list of top 5 best games ever of all time. And yet I never feel like playing it.
Oh, the hours!
And one of
the
these
hours
days when
we ground into it is
absolutely,
crazy.
Dude, I've got more hours in that than just about anything. And the day that I feel like getting back into it, I'm going to be big deep into it again. There's just nothing quite like it. And in VR, it's stunning. It's one of the best VR experience you can have. It is absolutely amazing. I can see how it's not everybody's cup of tea, though. You know, it's its own beast, and it's quite a slow burn. You know, to get anything going, it takes a long time. To build anything, to get resources, it's a very slow burn. But I love it. I love the whole pace and just the realistic galaxy.
When they came out with the alien, I can't remember what they're called.
The Thargoids.
The Thargoids. When they came out with that, I kind of got burned out, stopped.
Yeah.
So I don't have any of the upgraded weapons or anything like that.
Yeah, me too. That wasn't why I liked the game, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't playing that game for the combat. And I'm just not a combat game kind of guy. You'll notice I don't play any first-person shooters. I don't play Fortnite or any of that baloney. I just like a good simulation game, and that game is such a good simulation. As a matter of fact, when they introduced the Thargoids, and the Thargoids were attacking the solar system, the Sol system, and the nearby part of the galaxy right there, the main bubble, I immediately hopped in my ship and I went out into the frontier. I went all the way over to the Colonia Nebula, which is on the other side of the galaxy.
That.
Yep, I went all the way to the Colonia Nebula.
There.
Yep, and I stayed there. I've been at the Colonia Nebula for like 8 years now. Well, I don't know if the game's even been out that long. But as soon as the Thargoids showed up, I was like, nope, this is not what I signed up for, and I just left. I packed my shit, I grabbed all my ships, and I moved all my stuff over to the Colonia Nebula. And I've been living there ever since. It's a nice little community of people living in Colonia. It's a great place to explore, too, just because any direction you go is unexplored territory.
Still?
Well, you know how it is. The galaxy has, what do they say, 300 billion stars? There's absolutely no way to discover all of it. You know, if every single person in the human race played that game every day, it would still take thousands of years to see it all. You know what I'm saying? So that game's going to be long gone before it's used up. You know what I'm saying? You can still just kind of pick a direction and go, and eventually you'll find stuff that nobody else has ever seen. Amazing.
Yeah, there's about halfway to the frontier, I found that one system that was just full of young stars. You know, the blue stars.
Oh yeah, Stellar Nebula
with rings
nursery
around them.
Oh
And
yeah.
I scanned everything in there, but then they updated the game where you could scan the individual planets and
So you had to go back.
get your name on the individual planets. I went back a while after that, and somebody had gone in there and put their name on all the little moons and shit. I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. Out of all these billions of freaking systems,
Somebody
had
found yours.
to find that one and sully it.
Yeah, one of the coolest things I ever discovered, and I've only found it one time ever is I found a black hole that had a ring system around it. Like, wow, that was stunning. Basically, it looked like just a ring system out in the middle of nowhere. You couldn't even tell it was a black hole until you got closer. Yeah, very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I still got my deep space mining organization going on. I bought one of those big capital ships they've got. So I've got like the laser galactic capital mining vessel, and I store all my ships on that. And we just go traveling around the galaxy, mining for resources. Mostly what I'm mining for is fuel for my fuel for everything, because I forget what kind of fuel you use, but when you find a deposit of it, you better grab it. All right, we're not getting too awful far from where we're heading to. Remember, we're going to Sierra Bravo, Sierra November, landing on runway 10. Yeah, I'm super amped for GTA 6 too, and I know it's a big oxymoron with me that I don't like shooting games. I don't like games with guns. I don't like combat-oriented anything. I am a big not playing any kind of a first-person shooter kind of thing. It's not my thing. I don't like it. But Grand Theft Auto is one of my favorite series ever. I absolutely love Grand Theft Auto. And I love it for the fact that it is a masterpiece of open world, where you can literally do anything, including not shooting stuff if you don't want, you know what I mean? I just like, to me, it's thrilling just hopping on my bicycle and bicycling around downtown LA when everybody is blowing shit up and shooting everything, blam, 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 and just trying to keep your head down, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to, when people mess with you, try to get away from them. And nothing pisses people off worse than when they're trying to gun you down and you got away on your little bicycle. Oh, it pisses them off so bad. And it's like, yeah, me and my little bicycle just outmaneuvered all you fools.
Just
and
go down
it's just,
alley,
to me, that's
and
fun.
they try and go around the block, and
Yeah, it's a dangerous world, especially when you're passive. You know what I mean? I barely keep ammo on me. I mean, if you looked at my stats, it'd be ridiculous. I'm sure I've died 100,000 times, and I've probably killed 10 people in that whole time. I just don't fight back. If somebody attacks me, whatever. You know, they'll kill me, I'll respawn somewhere, and then everything's fine. I love that world that is so detailed. It's a masterpiece of, you know, it's like, I'm just going to go play a round of golf, you know, so take your flying car and go to the golf course and play a round of golf. To me, that's fun as hell. And I know the game is...
find their little Easter egg stuff, like the flying saucer and shit like that.
Yeah, you know,
or
and
stuff,
everybody's
stuff like that.
Everybody's like, oh, Grand Theft Auto, isn't that game where you're supposed to kill hookers? I'm like, no, you're not supposed to kill hookers. You can. It lets you do anything you want. If you're a horrible monster, you can kill the hookers if you want to. But you know what else you can do? Pick up the hooker and take her for a drive and listen to music. You know, go to the beach. Take your hooker to the beach and show her a good time, and then let her go home, you know. It's like, you don't, you know, it's like, just because you can kill everything in sight doesn't mean that that's what you're supposed to do. They made the genius, brilliant way of playing that you can play it any way you want. And it's the same thing with Red Dead Redemption. That game is built around guns and gunplay, and it's a cowboy game and blah, blah, blah. But that world they created is so living and so vibrant, and it's dangerous. There is nothing more dangerous in a video game than a game full of actual people. You know, it's not just, you know what I mean? It's not just AI. AI, everybody can get away from AI and handle them. So it's not about that. But actual living, bloodthirsty people, that makes that world very dangerous. And for me, that's fun. Just trying to exist and go about my business. I do my little treasure hunting, and I do all kinds of passive kind of stuff that I have fun doing. And the world is so alive, and it's a masterpiece, and I love it. And yes, I can't wait for
Red
GTA
Dead
6.
Redemption has been getting a lot of, I don't know, YouTube time, I guess, I want to say. I saw a video where somebody was driving a wagon full of people, and he rode it onto the train track, stopped, got off, and the train
just left it. Like I said, that's an example of that's not intended gameplay, but they let you do anything you want, and that's pretty funny. I've seen some funny stuff happen in that game just because they let you do anything you want. And most people are like, oh, I can do anything I want. That means I can be a horrible monster. Yeah, it does. That means you can be a horrible monster, but you don't have to. You can just exist in that world and have a good old time doing your cowboy stuff and just, you know, not kill everybody in sight. But that just doesn't even enter most people's minds. They're like, oh, I can do whatever I want. Well, let's just blow up everything and kill everybody I run into. It's like, yeah, that's fun for about a minute and a half, you know, but then just enjoy the beauty of that masterpiece. Like I said, the GTA games and that Red Dead Redemption, absolute masterpieces. I love them.
It's funny, in Red Dead Redemption, you know, just seeing the cowboy look of people on horses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think you've heard me talk about, you know, a while back, I rode the Trans-American Trail on my motorcycle, dirt bike. It's all on dirt trails. We were somewhere in southern Colorado, out in the desert, probably 50 miles away from any town whatsoever. And I was in the lead, and I could see a horse on the trail coming towards me, so I pulled over and turned my bike off, and several others. We were all spread out. There was probably like 12 of us. And we all turned our bikes off, and here comes this guy. He's on his horse. He's got his cowboy hat. He's got his chaps. He's got spurs on his boots. He's got a rope. He's got the trench coat. He looked like the Marlboro Man. I'm telling you. And all he did was tip his hat at us as he rode his horse by us. And you know, we all kind of looked at each other, going like, "What the hell? Did we go through a time portal or something?"
Yeah, I mean, that is a bold look. That's a commitment
blanket
right there.
tied up on the back of his saddle and everything.
All right, he was just waiting for somebody to come by and see him all dressed up.
I'm telling you, that was a fun trip that I got to do once. I worked for a company where the owner, you know, we did such a good job that one year that he treated everybody in the company, you know, offered them to go on this as long as you had a motorcycle. And I had one, and so we went on this thing, and we started it from Tennessee all the way to the border of Nevada and Utah. And I'm telling you, going up on the top of 14,000 feet through Colorado, up on top of their mountains and stuff, coming back down, that was something.
Yeah, it's beautiful around Colorado. I was actually born in Colorado, in Colorado Springs. We moved when I was about one, so I don't remember much of it, but I've always been drawn to it.
Engineer Pass was one of the mountains that we went over, and I think Tomichi Pass was one or something like that, but they were all close to 14,000 feet or thereabouts, and our motorcycles had absolutely no power.
No, they were choking, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, you can jet them to get more power, but then you're right back down to, you know, the low elevations once you get off the mountain. So what are you going to do? You can't you can't pull over and take the time to fiddle with your carburetor.
All right, a reminder, gentlemen, when we get to our destination here, which is just across this big body of water that we're coming across here, we'll be landing runway 10. It's a very large runway, asphalt. It should be pretty easy in these birds. Should be somewhere over in this area here.
I remember the flights where we would come in and land, and there were a couple of guys that would fly the F-22 and sit there and do those stunts where they would sit there and hover and all kinds of weird stuff.
Those high delta maneuvers they were doing. That was fun.
Yeah.
We used to fly the C-130 all the time, and we would have at least 2 fighter escorts every night. There would be 2 people in the F-16 hanging out with us. And they were good too. Remember, one of them was 4D. I'm sure you remember him. He was stunning.
Oh yeah, he was really good in the
pilot.
F-22.
Oh my God, that guy! Like I said, we've talked about him before, to where he was a mystery. He never spoke. He was never in TeamSpeak or Discord. He never said a word. I don't even know what his voice. He could be a woman. I don't know, but 4D is the best pilot I've ever seen. And I know it's just a game. And some people hate calling it a game, it's just a sim. But that guy, I've never seen somebody in better control of their aircraft before. Absolute pro. And who knows, I always thought maybe that guy was actual, like an actual Blue Angel pilot or something. Is this guy actually in the Navy or something? Because I've never seen somebody that was that good. This guy was insanely good.
He certainly knew how to use vectors and stuff.
Oh yeah.
To control his plane, and I mean, I tried that in the F-20. Although he would communicate typing.
Yep.
I think he said that he had altered the flight dynamics.
Yeah. Well, I think if anything, he probably altered them to make it more realistic. I know a lot of guys that are
that's
the
what he
virtual,
said.
like the virtual Blue Angels. They have custom airplanes that they fly. That just makes them a little more real.
So is this going to be a straight-in shot, or?
It will be straight in from where we're at. Like I said, it'll be a runway 10 at a heading of 100.
At least it's lit up, because it's dark on me now.
Is it? Yeah, it's going to be dark soon for me, but I think I might make it.
Yeah, the runway's lit up. I can see it.
Are your gauges black?
Yep.
It looked like I got the sun behind me, so they're pretty well lit right now. I still don't quite see it, but I know exactly where it's going to be. Been holding a pretty tight formation for a long time there, Longhorn. I've been all over the place, so yeah, good deal.
Yeah, they modeled the turbulence effect quite good on these, because I am like all over the place trying to stay behind you.
Yeah, that's a good deal. It's that much more realistic.
Did he say turbo lance?
No, they got the turbulence happening though. They got the wake effect going. That was something that they've been working on for quite a while, and I think they're finally getting it right. Coach, you still with us, buddy?
I don't know. How do you go from point to point? I gotta try and get where I'm in the air from the beginning. How do I get to where you guys are?
Well, go back to the map, you know, where you're loading in your
Yeah.
flight plan. Don't load in a flight plan or anything. Just look for our airplanes. You should see our aircraft. Just click right there and it'll say begin flight. Like you're putting a marker down.
Okay, so
And then you'll
delete
start right
delete the
above
flight
us.
plan.
Pardon me?
You don't have to delete it. You could
Yeah,
just
it'll
go back to the world map and.
It should already be gone when you get there. Or it don't matter. Like I said, we're coming up on our last airport. So if you find us, you'll be already there.
Can't see you.
You don't see us on the map, even if you zoom
Nope. Nope.
Oh, he's got to turn live. There's a button to click to show live people.
in. Yeah. Hopefully that's already a thing. We've been dealing with that for a while, and hopefully that's already solved. But if not, yeah, check your flight conditions and make sure you're on live traffic or whatever.
Well, you might as well just spawn in at the last airport. We're seconds away from landing.
Yeah, we're going to be at Sierra Bravo, Sierra November.
All right, this is going to be weird actually landing right on concrete again.
Looks like asphalt.
Same thing.
It'd be nice if they had to put some lights on the dash inside this airplane though, because it is dark in here.
Yeah. Or at least automatically switch to like a flashlight or something. If I'm not incorrect, I think there is a button that you can map that's called flashlight, so you can just turn it on and off anytime you want. I don't think it automatically does though.
Yeah, they should have put lights. I mean, it's fun to be in the plane the way it used to be, but if anybody restores the plane, they're going to put some modern stuff in there.
Yeah, I do remember warning all you guys though.
Oh no,
We don't have
I know.
lights.
I'm flying in the daylight. I had already set my time before we started.
Wingnut, I'm going to be coming in right behind you, buddy. Whoop, maybe not. You just bounced behind me somehow. Okay, I'm coming in right in front of you. Like your airplane glitched for just a half a second and put you behind me.
I hit the camera mover accidentally and it stopped me, I guess.
It's a big runway. It's almost 8,000 feet, so that's way more than we need.
It's a good thing because there's
Were they
some
going to
big-
land the space shuttle there or something, or what?
There's some big trees at the beginning of the runway too.
Also, be very careful when you're using your brakes because they will put you right on your nose if you're not careful. A very detailed airport. I like it. And once again, this thing is squirrely on the ground. That tripod gear in the back, or the tail dragger. This is a very nice airport. This has to be one of those bespoke airports that they actually worked on. It's pretty detailed. I'm going to pull up over here by that orange and white tower, and we'll call that. I'm going to use this real skinny taxiway here. It's got big yellow X's on it like it's not a taxiway anymore, but it is today. Very nice looking airport though. Let's park over here in the grass. Very nice. Yep, that's a pretty nice looking bird right there. I see. Split horse looks like he's floating in midair because
Yeah, I see that. He looks the same way to me.
yeah, it's the mesh that he didn't download.
Oh yeah, because he doesn't have the Brazil.
Looked like a helicopter.
It's funny because you guys are perfectly fine to me.
Yep, it's because we're technically underground for you, so it puts us on the ground. If it was the other way around,
that's nice update for them because it used to put you wherever you were.
right? Well, if it was the other way around, you would see us in the air and you on the ground. But the mesh is different this time.
I just thought he had some kind of anti-gravity system on board.
Well, it's all those UFOs they keep talking about here in Brazil, you know.
Yeah, we're going to get crushed if it lets go. We're right underneath your plane.
So I can get a good view of your boat. Yeah, I do like these birds though. They're pretty simple but effective. I like a good piston pounder, you know. We don't always need jets and turbines. Just give me a good old piston aircraft. A big noisy black smoke piston aircraft.
There's nobody sitting in the tower. They left their binoculars on. They got all the computer screens still on, but there's nobody in here.
Oh, you moved your drone up there?
Yeah, they got it like air traffic control and a bunch of miscellaneous writing and stuff on the computer, and some binoculars sitting here so they can watch for traffic. But yeah, well, there's only one seat in here too. A couple computers though. Some file cabinets and stairs. Pretty cool. Get a pretty decent view, although these windows are hard to see through or see out of. Yeah, they need to clean their windows.
Yeah, they're dark tinted or something. I'm up here too. I usually check out all the towers if they have them modeled.
Yeah, it's cool to go to like a big airport and just sit in the tower watching all the planes come and going.
Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah, especially just thinking of the fact that a lot of the airplanes coming and going are actual airplanes in real life coming and going from that same airport.
Yeah, they didn't do a good job on the windows. You cannot see outside hardly.
Well, I found the Hertz rent-a-car.
Nice.
I can go get in a. Oh, there's a Ford Crown Victoria here. Looks like a little Fiat. All kinds of rental cars here. They got any cool cars here to rent? Oh, they left their tool chest here. Oh, it's got tools too. It says fragile. Got a wrench sitting on top. What else? They got some clips. Actually, it's a smart car. A little tiny. Oh wow, they modeled that pretty good too. Wow, even underneath, it's got the exhaust. Oh, I'll go check out their rental car lot over here. See what they got going on over here.
Well, all right, everybody. That is our Friday night flight for tonight. I appreciate everybody who joined us, watching us on the stream. We always have a good time. Like I said, if anyone likes to join us, please do. You'll find all the information in the description of the channel, or the description of the video on YouTube. We're here every Friday night. We've been doing it for 14 years, and it's pretty easy to fly with us. We keep it pretty casual. So if you'd like, grab the information from the description of the video and hop on GamePass, and you can grab the game for free, and you can fly with us that way, and we would love to have you. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and call it a stream. Please like and subscribe. That helps the channel a lot, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.
You see the hang